This week, a startling video that purportedly captured the moment hip-hop's most talked about music power couple, T, appeared, leaving the entertainment industry in complete music disarray. I.M. and Tiny Harris came to a terrible end. Music. According to reports, the shocking live video, which has been going viral on social media, shows a furious altercation in which Tiny Harris loses her music composure and hits T. I.M. with a tremendous blow. However, a far darker and more unsettling discovery started to music surface as the dust fell from that physical altercation. Fans are now doubting everything they believed to be true regarding the dynamics within the Harris family. There are rumors circulating in the music industry that this public breakdown was caused by more than simply a straightforward marital conflict. The assertion in the headlines is so shocking music that it's difficult to comprehend that T. I.M. has apparently acknowledged having an improper music relationship with Zonnique, his stepdaughter. Videos that appear to show that Tip eventually acknowledged or confessed music to these dating rumors during a live stream have thrown Tiny into a blind rage, and the internet is in a complete frenzy. Is their 10-year marriage coming to an end? Or does the clickbait conceal a serious music misunderstanding? We Music are dissecting the frame-by-frame proof of that viral slap in today's in-depth analysis. We're trying to figure out where the video music came from and whether T. I.M. truly made such a devastating admission regarding music. Zonnique Pullins. We are discovering the truth about everything from the unseen conflict on the family hustle to the mysterious social media posts that preceded music to this point. Is this a planned publicity gimmick? Or have we just seen the most poisonous betrayal in Hollywood history in terms of music? You won't believe what we discovered in the archives of their most recent exchanges, so stay tuned. Right now, we're starting music with Tiny's eventual breakdown. This week Music, a live notice that promised an unvarnished glimpse into the Harris family's lives appeared on millions of people's screens, scorching the digital landscape. Music, however, what appeared to be a normal exchange soon turned into what can only be called a historic music meltdown. For years, admirers of T. I.M. and Tiny, the family hustle, have observed the king of the South music and his queen, Tamika Tiny Harris, negotiate the perilous music industry, court cases, and adultery rumors. They've always been the quintessential holding it down couple. However, it appears that the holding it down era has officially ended violently based on the footage that recently surfaced. The video, captioned "A Breaking Live" banner beneath music, reveals a side of Tiny Harris that the general public has not often seen. A woman who has transformed music into a realm of sheer, undiluted wrath, beyond verbal arguments. There was enough tension between them to cut with a knife as the camera's music rolled. The T. I.M. despite his reputation for being articulate and giving lengthy philosophical explanations, music appeared to be in a difficult situation. Tiny, who is typically the soothing force that counterbalances music Tip's exuberant demeanor, was pacing the room, her voice shaking music with a mix of incredulity and betrayal. Even though the audio was fuzzy, it contained snippets of a discussion about trust, family boundaries, and a secret that had finally come to light. Real-time viewers realized this wasn't simply music, another staged reality TV moment, so they started filling the comment area with questions and fire emojis. This was the most horrific manifestation of real reality. Then the moment came, and everyone on social media heard the slap. As T.I. 11111 tried music to lean in, maybe to diffuse the situation or maybe to brush off her worries with his typical charisma, music Tiny's hand made a sharp, resonant crack on his face. The screen briefly blurred music, the camera jerked, and then there was an overwhelming silence. It was more than a gentle tap or nudge. It was the outward expression of years of repressed annoyance. The Harris household's music dynamic changed in that one instant. The T. I.M. stood there in shock, his hand reaching to his cheek as Tiny yelled the words music that would soon become the subject of a huge probe into their personal lives. She was upset about more than simply a late-night club appearance or another video vixen. Music. She was yelling over a betrayal that occurred far closer to home, within their own family. The broadcast switched to music black almost instantly after the slap, but the harm was already done. Every frame had been filmed by screen recorders, and within music minutes, every major site, including Hollywood Unlocked and the Shade Room, was analyzing the clip. Everyone was wondering not only why she had struck him, but also what he had said to cause her to lose her temper. As the internet dug deeper, attention turned from the physical violence music to the psychological revelation that T.I. purportedly fell just as the cameras went dark. There were rumors that Tip had been caught lying. He had been caught in a confession that was so devastating and taboo that it threatened to destroy his entire legacy as a mentor and father, music. As admirers pointed to T, the story started to take a grim turn. I has a history of being too protective of the ladies' music in his life, especially his children. His remarks about his daughter's private medical appointments had music caused international outcry in the past, and many people labeled his parenting style as cringeworthy or dictatorial. However, the additional accusations elevated the unease music to an entirely new level. According to the Breaking Live headline, T.I. had at last acknowledged or embraced a romantic relationship with music Zonnique Pullins, Tip's longtime stepchild and Tiny's oldest daughter. This assertion felt music like a hit to the gut to many who have followed the family since Zonnique was a teenager in the girl group the OMG Girls. Zonnique has always been seen as the family's princess, and T.I. has frequently taken on the role as her main father figure. The internet as a whole recoiled in horror at the mere suggestion of a romantic connection between the two. The world is left staring at the fallout from music that smack as this tale comes to a close. Was the particular confession the cause of Tiny's physical outburst? Music in the video, Tiny is heard uttering Zonnique's name music in an agonized tone as her hand makes touch. T's appearance. His expression was one of a guy who had been exposed rather than one of rage. The relationship rumors, which many had written off music as repulsive online trolls, suddenly took on a terrible new significance. Music should T.I. He didn't merely music end his marriage to Tiny, he genuinely acknowledged this reality on a live webcast. He betrayed the family's core trust. To confirm the audio of the entire music live session, the blogs are currently putting in extra effort. According to several insiders, T.I. was using metaphors and that others who were trying to discredit him music had taken his statements out of context. Others, however, assert that Tiny has already removed her belongings, music, from the family estate and that the evidence is indisputable. The smell of a definitive conclusion permeates the air. This isn't merely a publicity stunt. This is a moral and legal disaster. However, the smack is not the end of the tale. The most terrifying music moment of the evening actually occurred after the cameras were purportedly switched off, when T was caught on a secondary recording. Music discussing his feelings for Zonnique with an unnamed individual. We must examine the timing as we proceed to the next stage of this break. How did we get from a contented family on VH1 to accusations of a forbidden romance and a physical assault? The change from delves further into the word T.I. During that deadly live webcast, music was used. We'll examine the well-discussed acceptance speech and the reasons Tiny felt compelled to resort to violence in order to prevent him from continuing. This catastrophe is developing quickly, and the real horror of the situation will start to emerge in the following chapter. A considerably louder sound replaced the echoes of Tiny's music slap as they started to fade from the viral live stream. The sound music of a parent figure supposedly acknowledging the unimaginable. The video didn't simply stop after the physical blowout music. It changed into what is now known as the Harris confession, a time of unvarnished, unedited conversation. We must examine the particular story T in order to comprehend music why Tiny reached her breaking point. Was weaving during the broadcast's last, anxious music moments. The public has long disapproved of Music Tip's peculiar and frequently domineering behavior toward the women in his home. However, his reported acceptance of music during this live session went beyond his usual overbearing parenting. Curfews and social media monitoring were no longer the only topics he discussed. Music he was talking about a love and emotional bond with Zonnique that seemed completely predatory to listeners. The recording's most terrifying moment occurred when T.I. began to explain his evolutionary theory of the family music unit while staring straight into the lens music with a serenity that was almost psychopathic. He began by stating that love knows no bounds and that the soul knows its partner regardless of the label society gives them. Music. It sounded like his typical philosophical digression to the uninformed listener. However, Tiny saw it as an unmistakable sign that the rumors she had been hearing behind the scenes were finally being verified. Music in front of everyone. The headline asserting T.I. It is said that he stopped referring to Zonnique as his daughter and began referring to her as his partner in spirit at this very moment, which is why he has been dating her. Not only was the music act itself a betrayal, but he also chose to openly normalize it on a public stage. The immediate outcome of this psychological warfare was Tiny's response, which we witnessed. Music. Picture yourself as a mother who has reared her daughter in the public eye, only to have the guy you have supported for decades imply that he is interested in her romantically. Music. The room smelt strongly of an enduring, irreversible trauma. The topic has already been discussed in secret, according to those close to Music the family, but T.I. had always tricked Tiny into believing she was misinterpreting his music intense paternal care by using his intellectual superiority music. However, there was no space for misunderstanding on this live. His tone made it clear that his relationship with Zonnique had gone beyond what any family should ever do. Music. The response on the internet was a combination of urgent truth-seeking and visceral disdain. How could a man who has built his brand around family values, music, and the family business feel so at ease demolishing his home's foundation? Music. T is cited by critics. His history of making contentious remarks about his kids, indicating Music that this was a gradual escalation of his desire for complete control over his home. Since the video was leaked, Zonnique has mostly been quiet, but people close to her claim that she is devastated by the way her name is being music exploited in this terrible incident. The 33333 situation has gone from being a celebrity gossip tale to a possible legal and ethical nightmare, with some even wondering if she was the victim of groom-like behavior in her own house. After the acceptance speech, in the Music Minutes, T.I. apparently attempted to defend his position by arguing that the customs of the family did not apply in the same manner because Zonnique is not his biological child. Social media went into a complete music tailspin because of this particular element. Even his most devoted fans have begun to turn their backs on him due to this perverted thinking. Almost immediately, the hashtag Save the Harris Girls music went viral as people demanded a thorough examination of the dynamics within the household. Tiny, on the other hand, is said to have spoken with well-known divorce lawyers after realizing that a slap wouldn't be sufficient to change a man who believes his behavior is acceptable. She is now battling for more than just her marriage. She is fighting for her children's safety and soul. The story Music becomes even more complex as it moves from this sinister admission into the legal and social ramifications. If T.I. the King of the South is dealing with more than just a PR nightmare if he genuinely believes what he stated on that live webcast. He is completely cut off from the civilization he contributed to. Family comes first in the hip-hop community, which is infamously musically protective of codes. In any circle, betraying your wife with the daughter she brought into the marriage is considered the ultimate music foul, but in the realm of street code and rap aristocracy, it's a death sentence for your reputation. As the second section of the breakdown, Music, comes to an end, we are left with a guy who appears to have lost control of reality and his family, which is bleeding out in the public view. The smack was only the beginning of a much longer tragedy involving Music. We have witnessed the instant aftermath, heard the unsettling confession, and seen the physical violence. But what happens if the music attorneys get involved and the cameras remain off? How can a mother bounce back from such a serious betrayal? Music. In the last section of our screenplay, we will examine the secret video that was taken following the conclusion of the live stream music, the portion of this nightmare where T.I. confronts Zonnique about his emotions, and Tiny's ultimate choice that permanently alters music. The Harris family. The plot is heading toward an unexpected conclusion, and as the hours pass, the evidence only becomes more incriminating. Music. The quiet that ensued when the live stream ended wasn't serene. It was the kind of quiet that comes before a huge explosion. The public was music occupied with screen capturing T's bits and reloading their feeds. I.'s unsettling admission. The true drama was simply music starting behind the Harris mansion's closed doors. Sources close to music. The on-site security detail claim that Tiny and Tip's physical altercation went beyond the one widely shared slap. It turned music into a verbal battle that rocked their house to its core. Tiny allegedly confronted T, driven by the rush of a mother's betrayal. Regarding the way his words were groomed. She was no longer merely protecting music, her marriage. For her daughter Zonnique, who had been thrown into the music center of a story she had never requested, she was filling the void. As the evening drew on, the most tragic music event of all was allegedly documented on hidden video from the house's internal security system, the altercation between T.I. as well as Zonnique. According to reports, Zonnique entered the room to find a man who was still attempting to rationalize his inappropriate emotions rather than a parent pleading for forgiveness. The gossip that T.I. when he allegedly told her that his music devotion for her was purer than any ordinary father-daughter tie because it wasn't linked by blood, accepted dating Zonnique took on a darker tone. That sentence 44444 has enough psychological impact to shatter anyone. This was the ultimate gaslighting for Zonnique, a young woman who has always looked up to Tip as the music man who filled in for her biological father. As the Harris family formally split music into two competing camps, she allegedly sobbed as she exited the house with her brothers by her sides. The internet blowback was swift and brutal. Music. The hip-hop world, which often keeps quiet about family business, was unable to overlook such a betrayal. Music. Prominent personalities in the field, including some of T.I.'s longtime partners, started to musically disassociate themselves. Tip began to lose the title of King of the South, which he had worn like a crown for 20 years. You see, there are certain boundaries you simply don't cross in music culture. You don't include kids in romantic dreams, music, and you most definitely don't include stepchildren. The cheating wasn't the only thing that infuriated the public. Music. It was about the basic transgression of the duty of father. The T.I.'s music brand, which was based on being the intellectual giant and the hustler with a heart, was revealed to be much more predatory and self-serving. Tiny, on the other hand, music didn't wait for instructions from a public relations staff. She deleted nearly all of T's recent Instagram photos within hours of the live conclusion. She shared a mysterious music message that said, "A mother's love is a shield, but even a shield can be broken by the music person holding it." This was the last straw. The hustle of the family was finished. Music. The woman who had supported him through numerous infidelity scandals, gun accusations, and prison terms had music at last discovered the one thing she couldn't forgive. If a man makes a mistake with a stranger, you can forgive him, but you can't forgive him if he views your daughter as anything but a daughter. Tiny's liberation didn't end with the smack. In order to protect their young children, Heiress, Major, and King, from Tip's unusual perspectives on family, she has filed music for an emergency restraining order and is requesting full custody of them. Music. The legal experts are now offering their opinions as we consider the wider implications. The public admission of an attraction to a stepchild can lead to investigations into the past, even when feelings are not prohibited. Attorneys are reviewing previous music episodes of their reality program to find for warning signs that the public may have overlooked. Music. Did this conduct persist for years? In the Hyman's Gate debate, T.I. have darker, more profound roots than his admission of taking his daughter to the gynecologist? A scary picture of a man who controlled and manipulated the young women living under his roof by using his status, music and philosophy is beginning to emerge. There was more to the shocking live footage than just a crazy moment. The Huge Hustle CEO's mask music was taken off in a moment of truth. Additionally, the social media investigators have been actively pursuing music T.I. recent actions. Some say he's hiding at a private home on Atlanta's outskirts music, while others say he's working on a large reply video to disguise his remarks as social experiments or performance art. Music 555555. However, the harm is already done. You cannot deny that you have a romantic relationship with your stepdaughter.